Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales of Tormented Space.
Oh, you're joined once again by I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
Oh, I'm a little bit flabbergasted because we've just come off the end of season 4.
Yes, there was a lot of torment going on there.
So what are we to do? Well, I honestly didn't even have it in me to go looking at Farscape, is where I would normally run.
Oh yes, I mean I'm sure that there were some stories involving this sudden plot development, I'd say.
Yeah, I remember those days when there was just a lot of emotions, a lot of really big emotions, and a lot of sort of statements and possibly like threats being made to whoever people thought was responsible or themselves.
Fair enough, yes, but none of that. I mean, I can imagine that there was a lot of discourse about the, what does it mean? They said final episode, but it says to be continued.
Yeah.
In fact, you did promise me that we would get onto the little bit of what was happening in the fan community about, I believe you said that a massive fan campaign got started up to...
Oh, yeah, we can delve into that. That's called Save Farscape.
Uh-huh.
It was a pretty substantial effort. Of course, every cancelled show has a fan base that tries things. But I remember there was a website. Oh, my God, let's see if I can find this live. This is going to be great audio.
Well, I mean, I remember that happening after...
Nope. No, that's just a random video.
Oh, that's probably because I know it's that like weird thing that like if you're watching YouTube Shorts and then you open another tab, then it starts playing your YouTube Shorts again, which is really super annoying.
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah, so you kind of have to like kill that YouTube tab.
Yeah, it's dead. Okay, it's not immediately coming up here, so I'll have to figure that out for the season 4 recap that we're doing next. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like picketing of Sci-Fi Channel, like sending faxes and snail mail.
The same thing kind of happened with Alita Battle Angel, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. A much more recent campaign that our friend Bostich, who I think...
He religiously participated into that for... I mean, he's done a few fan synopsis, I think.
Yeah.
He has. So, yes, he religiously posted a picture of a orange with a bite taken out of it, like on his Twitter for like I think a year or something.
I think more than that.
He was always carrying an orange around at that point,
keeping the flame alive.
Absolutely. And I did hear this excited exploding sound coming from the direction of his house earlier this week when it was announced that another 2 episodes are actually going to be made.
I thought it was a sonic boom. I thought, it's the Concorde flying again. No. There's at least the glimmer of hope of the Alita sequel that
they were clamoring for so hard.
Yeah, I tell you honestly, like my one of my favorite like experiences in the cinema was going to see Alita Battle Angel again with him.
Yeah,
and it was like his 12th time, maybe 16th time.
Oh wow!
And I got to sit next to someone whose favorite thing it was, and like in the exciting bits, like he was clenching his fists, he was sort of he was kicking along with Alita. It was so great to like feel that energy radiating off him. Which I sort of imagine has been the case for many a Farscape fan.
Yes, I
during
think so too.
These terrible periods where we just came off a cancellation after a season where a lot of people were a little bit iffy about that season because there was kind of a vibe that it was like attracting a new kind of audience.
Well, that's what they were trying to do, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that you said like they were trying to make it a little bit more episodal and not quite so dependent on being aware of the entire backstory.
Yeah, and
whereas I think they did quite well. I mean, they have been kind of reinventing themselves a little bit every episode, every season. At least they had a well planned out season arc.
Yes.
And like you said at the end of last episode, they definitely set up the next season in the last episode of this one.
Yeah,
422 was definitely okay, we're going to wrap up the whole stuff with the Scarans, and we are like putting in a new cliffhanger for next season. Yeah,
because that was the Farscape formula. I think David Kemper talked about that in the visual companion books, that they do a big blowout 3-parter at the end, and then the very last episode is actually the pilot of the next season.
Yeah.
Sort of a taster.
It probably
of where
also helps
go.
Getting the network execs, keeping them involved in getting the...
If only that was the case here. Unfortunately, after season 4, it was cancelled. Yeah. And that is why, instead of leaping to the sort of desperate poetry that filled the internet when it came out, I've gone to the official source. And in fact, I've got a double whammy for you. I've got
wow.
issue, or as you call them, episodes 10 and 11.
2 of them, wow.
Of the official Farscape magazine, both of which were reeling with the news of the cancellation.
Ooh, all right. Let's start with number 10.
Yeah.
Farscape's shock cancellation, the inside scoop from the show's creators. Free posters, official magazine, Ben Browder, Farscape's Crichton on the show, and much more. Farscape fiction, weird creatures attack Moya. Oh, I guess we're reading that one then. And the Dominar speaks, question and Q&A with Jonathan Hardy.
Oh, of blessed memory.
Dargo on deck. Ooh, the Old Blokes issue, Prilot, Braca, Rigel, and more.
Ew.
I love that Braca's in there. Gets mentioned there specifically. All right, let me see how I can do this without,
yes, that'll be interesting. We've got some cables hanging down here.
We're trying a different mic setup, so I need to get some room so I can look at the mag and still keep talking into the microphone.
Okay, well, this is something that we'll work on.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So, it was a shock to the system. How did you find out that Farscape had been cancelled? Oddly enough, it was the second day of the entire season that I wasn't actually shooting. I got a message from executive producer David Kemper, and I didn't like the tone of his voice. I called him up and said, he said, it looks like we're not going to do the season. Okay, so they were actually shooting already? Okay. Maybe not. I might have misinterpreted that. I'd been talking to Brian Henson and David the night before, and they were 98.7% sure that they were going ahead. Brian confirmed, and I called Claudia on set, who hadn't heard yet. She was actually getting in the makeup chair. It didn't work again until the beginning of the next week. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and this was during the filming of Constellation of Doubt, the one with the television.
Oh, right, yes. Maybe that's what he's talking about, yes.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Because who is it?
That was Ben Browder.
Ben Browder, all right.
Who was being interviewed here. Farscape the movie, which, with the TV show now over, will Farscape move to the big screen?
Yeah, way to drop a headline to get everybody's blood pumping and then make it into a question. Just put the question in the headline.
Fair enough, yeah. Let's see, what are we here? Power is such an aphrodisiac. From Scorpy snivelling second in command to Grey's snivelling second in command, Braca's Farscape journey has been a lengthy and surprising one.
Wow. Oh, that's unfair. Miklo Braca is a fantastic contribution.
Paul Simpson places David Franklin in our Aurora chair to discuss Braca's snivelling journey.
Wow.
That's pretty harsh. Yeah.
He's a little bit Smithers.
We got this lovely shot of him with Scorpius on a leash.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that probably awakened something in some people.
I'm sure it did, yes. Like young, impressionable people. Ooh, Dargo with Big Bertha, the big boomstick.
Mr. Sparky, he called it.
That's the one, yes. Let's see what else we got here. More wonderful production shots from Dargo.
Okay. So I gave you this gift of these 2 magazines. So this one that you're really enjoying, and second, which is both a blessing and a burden. Now the blessing is that you get to choose which of these stories we read today.
Oh, okay. Well, let me have a quick look at the second one then.
Yeah.
So we have the episode 11, also with a free poster. This time of Claudia Black, by the looks of it. True Blue, Virginia Hay on Zahn's return. Oh, spoilers.
Yeah. No, she was in season 4.
Oh, of course. Yes. Farscape fiction, sexy news story from show writer Lily Tailor. Ooh. And questions for Claudia. So, what have we here? More shots from the cartoon episode.
The Revenging Angel.
Yes, they're using quite a few little shots that I noticed here.
Oh, awesome.
Some lovely shots from what looks like a Farscape
look at those cosplayers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. We've got a male Delvian, it looks like, or a Delvian with hair, and a Grazer, and a Dargo. Wow.
Yep, and Sikozu, I suppose, yes.
Oh, excellent.
Dargo, that was a lot of effort to try and recreate I can't remember the name of the species. A Luxon, yes, thank you. I couldn't, for the life of me, remember what the name of...
Yeah, you think you could just maybe spray paint a Klingon forehead Caucasian?
I guess you can get a long way with that, yes.
It's not good enough. You don't get the texture and the sort of the cephalopod. Cephalopod, I've been informed you're supposed to pronounce it.
Okay, yeah. All right, here we go. Ask Claudia. What was the most challenging thing about being a PK chick? Aaron is physically strong, whereas I am. I lose arm wrestles with small chicks. Is the answer to that.
Claudia.
Yeah. What was the funniest moment for you during filming Farscape in the studio on location? We all used to goof around a lot. I cannot think of any. Oh, that's a boring one.
Well, I mean, good for her.
Well, I know, yes, but it's not like I was hoping for a good, funny answer here. Like I'm just picking out a few questions with short answers.
Yeah, the time when Ben Browder tried to do the split, and then the seam in his leather split, and we all saw a little bit of Ben Browder ballsack.
Was he not wearing underwear?
I've seen the video of that particular concert by Lenny Kravitz where he tries to do the splits and then the seam splits, and he's not wearing underwear. Do you? You want to wear underwear in leathers, don't you?
I would say so, yes.
Otherwise, to quote that video about Batman, it really seals in the flavor.
Wow. Ooh, a lovely shot of Tatlani Tupu here.
Oh, show me. Oh, yeah, in full regalia.
Yes. Famous submission faces. What we have more?
I've looked for Craze cosplay.
And here we have this shot again, like we've not...
Oh,
the welcome,
hello.
The welcome chief.
Yes, how we welcome our community. The first meeting between John and his future paramour, Erin, where she's like scissoring his chin.
It got off on a start, you know. What have we here? Oh, okay, so I'm going to have to decide between these two stories.
Yes.
Let's see.
So we've got one by a newcomer, I believe. That was Yummy Mummy in the first one. And then this one, I didn't see the title of, but it's by Lily Tailor. She's a story editor.
Yes, it's called Crichton Interruptus. Okay.
And it's a sexy story?
I don't know. I can't tell that from the...
No, it said sexy story on the cover, but I don't know about this case.
Did it say sexy story? Oh, yes, sexy new story. You are very right. It does say sexy story.
But I know that you're also a gourmand and you're into the culinary arts, so something called Yummy Mummy, well, that's like half up your alley?
Oh, the other one is called Yummy Mummy, yes.
It's a very memorable title, but maybe that's all there is to it.
Okay, yes. I mean, the Yummy Mummy story takes place in early season 3.
All right.
By Josh Mapleston.
It's a new name for us, I think.
Yes, and the other one, Crichton Interruptus, also takes place early in season 3.
All right, roll the bones.
All right, I'm going to go for Crichton Interruptus just because it's a more amusing title.
All right, awesome.
Oh, and what have we here? Revenging Angel. I remember how hard struck up you were for a image of John on his little module ship.
What?
You actually had
to, yeah.
I mean, this picture would probably have done quite well.
Oh, my God. That's really high resolution as well.
Yeah.
That's an actual still. Okay, hey everyone, a little behind the scenes thing. So when we were starting Farscape, like I was designing some artwork and some really cool stuff for Moya. None of it really fit, and then I wanted to do something like more fun and like get the rocket jockey from Revenging Angel. But taking a screen grab from that was actually kind of tricky because the
interlacing and everything, I guess.
The animated parts were interlaced, even on the DVDs, which was super frustrating.
Oh yes.
So we couldn't get them clean. So our friend of the show, Claudia Schmidt, a German artist whose book Myre, M-Y-R-E, I have contributed to, at least the second volume that's coming out sometime later, had to draw it over. But apparently this whole time I could have just like eBayed a copy of this and like taking a scan of the... Okay, fine.
Had you known that it was...
Exactly. Well, still, it's a cultural treasure. But okay. We're doing Crichton Interruptus.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. The story takes place early in season 3. We've got on the cover John standing there morosely and Erin blasting us in the face with a 35mm Photoshop lens flare filter that's been around since 1996.
Well, I mean, it had to be. Anyway, all right, let's see.
Hey, you're supposed to start talking so that I can I can live a little... I do that for you.
All right. Erin had been on the hostile ship's tail for longer than she would usually allow. She could have easily taken the ship out earlier, but was enjoying exercising her superior flying skills, toying with the small vessel after it made an unprovoked attack on the defenseless Moya.
Erin, Crichton calmed from the command, you've been out there long enough. Kill the flyer, let it go, and get back to Moya.
All right already, Erin smiled, knowing Crichton had been watching her prowler as it effortlessly cut through space. She lined up the hostile ship and was finally about to blow it away when a warning light on her console indicated the approach of another, larger ship. Her attention momentarily distracted, the smaller vessel made a hasty retreat as the larger, more ominous ship approached.
Crichton, are you still watching? Asked Aaron.
Crichton moved quickly to a console. I see it, Aaron. Pilot, are they hostile or happy?
Judge for yourself, Commander. A transmission is already being sent, Pilot responded.
The heads-up display on the forward portal sprung to life to reveal the chief commander of the Zukai battlecruiser that loomed large over Moya. But if Crichton was expecting the usual ugly alien, this quadrant of the uncharted territory seemed to dish up at an alarming rate. He was happily disappointed. For Crichton was to discover that the Zukai were a race of impossibly beautiful Sabatian warriors, and Hiroko, their chief commander, was the most beautiful of them all. The small ship that attacked did indeed belong to their fleet. Hiroko informed them, apologetically, they did not mean to scare the Leviathan, they merely meant to test the flying skills of the ex-peacekeeper, Aaron's son. Hiroko, that's actually a Japanese name, although it's not...
Hiroko?
Hiroko, yeah, although it's not spelled with an apostrophe in the middle, but yeah.
Yeah, which is usually used to indicate a glottal stop, so Hiroko.
Yeah.
But it's spacey-wacy, and like spacey-wacy writers just tend to just drop them in wherever because it looks cool.
There's actually in one of Neil Stephenson's books, there's actually a little bitch slap from one character to the other about that. Like when they're talking about like a MMO game. Like MMORPG.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, at one point, like, they actually bring a linguist in and like, oh, yes, yes, of course. And he says exactly the same thing. Usually an apostrophe just like indicates a glottal stop. But like, yes, like you just throw them around to make names sound more exotic. And
exactly. You like, sprinkle them around and make them sound more interesting. Then again, I a while back saw Picard Season 1, the Star Trek spin-off. There was a character introduced one time, a guest scientist from Trill Polytechnic who just had a very plausibly complicated name. And this was like Naashima Kuname Destifi, with some interesting like characters to separate the first A from the second A. So it wasn't just Naashima, it was Naashima.
Yeah.
And I just love like the idea that, or I just love that, edit. And I just love that science fiction is dishing up names that are just different. Like not purposely exotic or whatever, because like lots of different cultures have different naming practices, and some of them are longer and some of them are shorter, and some of them are mononymic like the Vulcans, and some of them are very syllabic.
Fair point. Yeah. All right, let's see.
We were somewhere. I think it was even my point.
It's your turn, yeah.
And so, despite protests from almost all aboard Moya, Aaron, accompanied by Crichton, Rigel, and Stark, accepted an invitation to visit the Zukai ship. Crichton insisted he was going to look out for Aaron, though he couldn't help but feel an unnatural pull towards the vessel. The face of Hiroko haunting his very being. They must be super hot.
I guess so. Now I'm like thinking like, what kind of voice am I going to do for Hiroko?
Yeah, no pronouns been given, so let's just...
Oh, have they not? No, I guess not.
No.
Just that they're very beautiful.
Wherever you want to go. Do your sexiest voice, whatever that means.
Well, that means I would probably be leaning into the microphone. Welcome, Aaron-san.
Oh.
Hiroko beamed, ignoring Aaron's crewmates. We had heard of a renegade peacekeeper pilot in the uncharted territories.
Oh, shivers, mate, shivers. Ex-peacekeeper, Aaron corrected her. Her, okay, so... Yeah. Smoky voice.
Yes, ex-peacekeeper. A star prowler pilot under the command of Captain Bylar Crace, deemed irreversibly contaminated after her prolonged contact with the escaped prisoners. After helping the prisoners to escape a second time, she joined the band of renegades to venture into the uncharted territories.
Ew.
So the rumors are true.
Okay. When you say it like that, venture into the uncharted territories takes on a very different connotation.
It's kind of going for that.
You seem to know a lot about us, offered Crichton. We're honored. To what do we owe the pleasure? Crichton was putting on his best southern boy charm. Oh, wow. I wasn't even exaggerating then. Hiroko seemed to take no notice, directing her answers only to Aaron.
We are a peaceful race, forced by cycles of unwarranted attacks from the Charids into abandoning our home planet.
Oh.
The ship is now our home, but It cannot sustain us. The chariots grow fat and lazy on the fruit of our planet. We intend to take back what is ours.
Chariots! Exclaimed Stark. Did you appreciate my pitch-perfect Stark impersonation? Yeah. As he poked at Rigel.
Despicable race, spat Rigel. Any mention of these horrendous creatures bitter to his tongue. My sympathies are with you.
Thank you, Domina, Hiroko said, finally acknowledging the other's presence. I know of the great loss that the Hynerian race has suffered at the hands of our common enemy.
I'm sorry, interrupted Aaron, but what does this have to do with me?
As you know from our encounter with... As you know from your encounter with our scout vessel, our combat pilot's abilities are somewhat limited. If we attacked the chariots from the air, we would quickly be outmaneuvered and destroyed. We have spent many cycles amassing the technology and hardware required to defeat the chariots. Only now we need the experience. This is Galaxy Quest!
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah!
Sorry, that was my cue.
Yeah.
And that's where Aaron comes in, said Crichton.
Yes, Hiroko replied, smiling so beatifically that Crichton felt himself quivering. Oh, quiver, Crichton, quiver. In exchange for training our pilots, Aaron soon will be in command of a battalion of 1,000 vessels, a position that as a pilot in the ranks of the peacekeepers, she could only ever have dreamed. Is that something that, pilots want?
I mean, I guess it's it depends on what you want. Do you want to become a manager or not? Or do you just want to be a pilot? I mean, it's look at Maverick. He just wants to be he just wants to be a bloody pilot. He doesn't want to be a manager. He doesn't want to be a commander. It's
because they're almost antithetical, desires.
Sometimes they age out of that, but
Oh, of course, and our experiences change our personality. But a person whose ultimate goal is to be an administrator in an office who, with a flick of their pen, is responsible for thousands of people. Do they pursue a career where you have to sit alone in a very noisy box?
I wouldn't think so, no.
All right, you got to just love the little box.
Aaron betrayed no change in her expression, but Crichton knew that what Hiroko was offering, Aaron would have traded anything to achieve.
Wow.
Instead, she had betrayed her lover Velarek for less. But something about Hiroko troubled Aaron, and until she knew what that something was, she was not prepared to give anything away.
I'll need time to think about it, she finally responded.
Hiroko relaxed, knowing the dispossessed peacekeeper would easily be won over. Of course. Please let us show you around a ship so you can judge for yourself and we are an honourable race, she said, as she motioned for them to exit the chamber.
The Zokai ship was a grand vessel comprised of a vast cathedral-like chambers, almost as beautiful as the myriad of Zokai who inhabited it. They did indeed seem an honourable race of hard-working, peaceful souls who would have provided no competition to the violence of an invading chariot horde. Erin let herself imagine a life on this ship. Would it be any worse than the uneasy existence that they had established on Moya? And if their planet was as beautiful as Hiroko had described, maybe Crichton could be convinced to give up his search for Earth and make a new life with her. Erin now looked at Crichton. She had been expecting to be grilled by him about what her decision would be. But he took the guided tour in complete, awe-filled silence. It was unclear, however, whether it was the beauty of the ship that was distracting him, or their ever more alluring hosts. Even Rigel and Stark seemed smitten with Hiroko's charm. Aaron seemed positively forgotten. Ah,
please. Hiroko gestured to a table of refreshments in yet another grand chamber.
Crichton smiled. Oh, thank you. That's so very kind of you.
Yes, you're very kind and so very beautiful, Stark chimed in.
Aaron had never seen such pathetic, simpering behaviour from her crewmates. She was confused as to why they were behaving thus, given that Aaron did not think Hiroko all that beautiful. However, Aaron's opinion was not sought, and even if it had been, would probably have been shouted down or totally ignored.
My dear, may I serve for you? Offered Rigel to Hiroko uncharacteristically.
Wow. I will join you shortly, but please start without me. Hiroko warmly responded before exiting, leaving Crichton, Rigel and Stark transfixed in her wake.
You're all pathetic.
Damn right.
Said an exasperated Erin when they were finally alone. She's just a female.
But what a female! All of my wives don't add up to one toenail of her beauty, Rigel replied.
You're jealous, Crichton exclaimed.
Further from the truth than you'll ever know, Erin snapped.
Erin, lighten up. For once somebody has come to us for help, not to work us over. Accept it as an honour, said Crichton.
Accept what? Accept her offer, you mean? Do you want me to leave Moya? Quizzed Erin.
Is that what I asked for? Or is that what you secretly want? Crichton bit back.
Ooh. Listen to me, Crichton. She's preying on you. I know the kind. Erin almost pleaded.
Rigel, sensing a quarrel between the star-crossed lovers, decided to take the opportunity to investigate a stash of jewels he'd noticed in a room not far away. Surely a civilization of such wealth, beauty and generosity wouldn't miss a throne sled's worth of those jewels.
Rigel easily located the unguarded treasure and began filling every available space in his throne sled, only to be interrupted by the arrival of a male and female Zukai. He quickly retreated to the safety of a small anteroom to watch proceedings, and interesting proceedings they were, for the pair were becoming somewhat amorous with each other. I'm loving the language use here.
Strange, Rigel mused. He had thought the Zukai a race of all females, for he did not recall noticing any males on their guided tour.
The female was nearly as beautiful as Hiroko. At least she seemed to exude a similar attractiveness, dulling her suitor into a zombie-like acceptance of utter submission. Rigel was equally entranced by the female. See, like, as long as I keep talking, then you can have a little sip of your refreshment. Rigel was equally entranced by the female Zukai when he noticed a ripple of sticky spines protrude in a wave up her long limbs. He blinked, unsure what he had just seen, but before he had the time to reflect, the female clasped the male's throat between her hands, held him up, and then in one swift move, ripped his head off.
So we're talking about spiders here.
Now fully transformed into a spiky green, yet still strangely elegant, long-limbed, insect-like creature, the Zukai female threw the head away and then leaned over the remaining carcass and proceeded to eat. Rigel's audible gasp caused the Zukai to look up from her meal, and then with their head pivoting 360 degrees, it's definitely a praying mantis, scanned the room for the source of the noise.
What are you doing? Hiroko admonished from the entrance in time to save Rigel from certain discovery. I strictly ordered there be no feeding until we have fully secured our new guests.
I'm sorry, Hiroko. I'm sorry, Hiroko. I was just so hungry, pleaded the young Zukai as she transformed back into her Sebacean form.
Hiroko looked at the carcass. One of our own. Did you recreate first?
I was too hungry, answered the Zukai.
He'll be even hungrier when we no longer have the population to provide us with any food, said Hiroko.
I wonder if they're a cousin species to... Oh, what was her name from Twice Shy? The Black Spider Woman.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking about the Bone Eater, but
no, it was early in season 4, and like Chiana was soups into her, and she was sort of chameleonic in her personality.
Yes, I remember her. Yes,
but she ate everybody's like misery and chief emotions and their virtues.
Yes. Well, that was at least a much less physical way of eating people, I guess.
But she also did the thing where she sort of transformed between a young woman.
Very quickly and off camera, I mind you, but anyway.
That's true. Okay. Then we'll all die together, the female coolly replied.
Rigel breathed a short sigh of relief as the Zukai left, only to realize that they intended to lock the door behind them, leaving him alone with the headless corpse and with no way to warn the others of the fate that awaited them.
Seems wasteful.
Yeah.
Apparently maybe they can only eat what's in the head that isn't in the rest of the body.
Yeah. Brain. Yeah.
Is that so different from...
I mean, it doesn't even say what they're eating. They just like...
Yeah, just rip the head... Maybe like
from her
cerebrospinal fluid?
I don't know. Threw the head away and then leaned over the remaining carcass and proceeded to eat. So the head was not the object.
Right. But then like apparently a carcass was left behind, so enough was not eaten. Seems wasteful.
Yeah. Aliens.
Aliens be alien. Crichton and Erin, meanwhile, had reached an impassable divide in their argument. Typical.
Wow, that's never happened before.
The impassable divide that they always seem to reach in every argument. Okay, yeah, fair enough. If they could only admit to each other how much in love they were. Oh, well, now was definitely not the moment to have that conversation. Aaron had stormed out to look for Hiroko with the excuse of learning more about the Zukai's fleet, while Stark, noticing Rigel's prolonged absence, had gone in search of his little friend, leaving Crichton all alone. Which is exactly how Hiroko, herself now getting hungry, had hoped to find him.
Ha, stammered Crichton nervously. Did Aaron find you?
Yes, she's busy looking at our fleet. Would you like to join her? Again the smile. Or will you allow me to entertain you while we wait for her return? If Crichton had died and gone to heaven, he was sure it would be something like this.
Stark, however, was not having a good time.
Oh, no.
It seemed that the more contact he had with Hiroko and her people, the more confused and disoriented he became, and the more confused and disoriented he was. The more disoriented and confused he was, the more concerned he became about the absence of Rigel. He was starting to think that Aaron might have had a point about the too-good-to-be-true nature of the Zukai. After all, it was the usual experience of Moya's crew that everyone they encountered would eventually, in some manner or another, completely frill them over. So he wasn't sure why this would be any different. Except that Crichton seemed utterly convinced about the honourable intentions of Hiroko, and, well, Crichton was usually the first to sense if something was wrong.
Really?
Well, sometimes. Not usually, but he's sure one of the more suspicious ones. Unless it's something that he considers normal and everybody else goes, no, that's a really common scam here. Which makes sense,
I think also Pilot.
Pilot,
except they mute him straight away before even the cameras start rolling.
What does Pilot know? I mean, I guess he talks to all the other pilots on the secret pilot network.
Oh, even without that, he just distrusts everything and he wants no contact with anyone. He's always afraid of everything, and very often he's right.
True, yes. Maybe that fuzzy, warm feeling he had earlier had fogged his judgment. Maybe he was running a fever. Yes, that was it. Maybe he should get back to Moya immediately. Oh, if only Zaan were still here. She'd know what to do. She would help him. She would know where to find Rigel.
Oh. Okay, now we get to an exciting chapter that I did not take a very good photo of. So let me see if I'm able to read it. No.
You want me to take the...
I can. It's a little bit fuzzy, but that's also my style.
It's a little bit fuzzy. This writing out here.
You frelling loon, Stark! Hurry up and let me out of here! Rigel screamed through the locked grate.
Rigel, you're all right. I was so worried. I thought perhaps that you'd been attacked, left to die, left all alone. Stark's usually constant stream of consciousness taped off as he noticed the Zukai half-eaten meal. Rigel, there's a headless corpse here lying face down beside you, he whispered Stark conspiratorially.
If it's headless, how do you know if it's face down?
Fair. I mean, you can still... No, I mean, chest down, I guess.
Nipples down, yeah. Best.
I mean, they know that which way the head faces on these Zukai, so...
They've never seen a male one. It's the first male corpse. So you just assume that he's...
Also, if it's headless, then the body can be nipples down and the head can still be face up.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
No, hold on. If you see a torso sans head...
Yes.
And a severed head sitting next to each other, do you call that a headless corpse? Or do you call that...
a beheaded corpse.
Oh, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. You don't have to whisper, you Frelnick. He's dead, Rigel screamed in reply.
Dead? Oh, dear. Did you kill him? Asked Stark.
Not me. Hiroko and her kind. First they seduce you with their magic, then they rip your head off and eat you for lunch. Turns out they have more in common with my royal wives than I initially gave them credit for, Rigel mused in a wonderful sexist gag that we all enjoy. Good job, Lily Tailor.
Do you think the Zokai intended to eat us? Stark inquired, somewhat excited by the prospects.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, I guess we're into war.
Yeah.
Crichton and myself, definitely. You probably never, said Rigel gruffly.
Not true. I definitely felt myself succumbing to their charms. I'm quite sure that I would have been eaten, Stark innocently replied. Rigel merely shook his head. The poor soul was truly insane.
No, he's just into weird stuff. He's a sex weirdo, as they say in Scotland. And where are Crichton and Aaron? Rigel asked, not wanting to go any further with the previous subject.
Oh, Aaron went to look at the Zukai's fleet to see if she wanted to accept Hiroko's very generous offer. I got worried about you and, well, left. Crichton's alone to wait for our return. Stark realised the implications of what he had just said, and, imagining the worst, started to curse himself. Bad Stark, bad Stark.
Stark, stop babbling and get me out of here, Rigel growled.
Ah! Crichton ground as Hiroko's long fingers worked their way over his back. That feels fantastic.
That is how I would have read it too. A quadruple G, dexextuple, however, triple H.
But only one exclamation mark.
The Zukai's reputation for providing pleasure is famous throughout the uncharted territories. I hope I haven't disappointed, Hiroko purred.
Hiroko, I doubt you could ever disappoint. Again, that southern boy charm. Hiroko continued the massage, working her way down his back until Crichton found himself getting slightly hot and uncomfortable.
It must get lonely on your ship. Just the four of you? Asked Hiroko innocently.
Lonely on Moya? You gotta be kidding. Jewel never shuts up, and Chan is always bringing stray aliens on board.
Oh, yeah.
Pilot finds it difficult to leave, and Dargo, well, he makes noise even when he's unconscious, said Crichton.
There are others. Any of them male?
Dargo, definitely. Pilot, I never really asked, answered Crichton, finding the question somewhat strange.
That is true, isn't it?
Yeah. Although, we know that the other pilot was referred to as with female pronouns and pilot with male pronouns, so I guess...
Yeah, but, did they ever, express their gender identity except through, just the assumption based on voice? Especially our pilot, Moya's pilot, current pilot.
Yeah.
Is he the kind of person that would correct someone if they got it wrong? I'm using the pronouns that we know.
I don't know. Maybe. I guess so.
Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe they're just so profoundly or maybe the Babel bugs fix it. Maybe they just fix it.
That would make sense. Yeah. I mean, especially considering how complicated pilot language is.
Oh yeah. It just doesn't occur to him that there's a difference, like those aliens on Doctor Who.
Which ones? Those aliens on Doctor Who doesn't really narrow it down.
The Sontarans, Strax makes a point of get away from her, boy. No, this is a woman, and she is an adult. Oh, whatever. Stop doing genders; it's confusing.
I don't think I've seen that episode.
How right you are. How interesting, she said more to herself than to Crichton, the excitement causing her spines to briefly ripple up her supple, long limbs. If Crichton's head could pivot 360 degrees, he would have at this point noticed this.
I'm pretty sure 180 would have done it. But
yeah, exactly. 360, you're facing the same way that you already are. So...
We're going to turn this company around 360 degrees. Anyway.
Oh, if Crichton's head could have pivoted 360 degrees around the axis of her body, so if his head had already been detached, maybe...
Bullet cam.
Yeah. He would have noticed this, but he remained unaware that the Zukai was now getting very hungry indeed. And if he had been wearing his jacket instead of it being flung across the room in a fluster of activity leading to the aforementioned back massage, he would have heard Pilot coming. Crichton, Aaron... Please, you must respond. But instead he heard nothing, and so I remained blissfully unaware of the Zukai's true intentions. A little bit of copy editing was needed on this before it went to print, I think. I noticed that as well, like a word instead of a would.
I understand, Pilot. Tell Moya we'll return immediately, said Aaron, who, unfortunately, being unaffected by the Zukai's charms, was responding to Pilot's warning. Your fleet is truly impressive. Tell Hiroko I would like to think over her offer, but first I must return to my ship, said Aaron to the Zukai officer who was acting as her guide. Now, please take me back to my crewmates. The officer looked round nervously, knowing that this was not what her orders had been. Aaron, sensing her hesitation, swiftly knocked her unconscious.
Pentagram! Yes!
Don't worry, I'll find them myself, she said, before looking around to make sure her actions went unnoticed.
Oh, Mama! Crichton's screams echoed through the passageway. Rigel and Stark were sure they'd arrived, too late to save the human.
Oh, poor Crichton, what a horrible way to go, said Stark. You should go in and save him, you're smaller than a slug. She might not want to eat you.
Bannock, he's already dead. We should cut our losses and return to Moya, Rigel replied.
Neither of you could save a Placto, said Aaron as she headed off in the direction of Crichton's screams.
Aaron, wait. You don't understand. They intend to eat us, said Stark. Ooh.
Not us, Stark. Just you, she replied.
And with that, Aaron entered the chamber to find Crichton in a rather intimate clinch with Hiroko. Hiroko's spines were now standing perpendicular to her spine, and she radiated a green hue as she began to transform. Crichton, of course, noticed none of this. So complete was his submission under her spell. He looked unable and unwilling to stop her as she moved her hands up to his head, clasping it as if an offering to an unseen god. Aaron did not hesitate. She aimed her pulse pistol squarely at the female Zukai and fired.
Crichton, still feeling the effect of Hiroko's charms, was confused and still completely ignorant of the fate from which he had just been spared.
Oh, Aaron, it's not what it looked like, the human stammered.
I decided not to accept their offer, said Aaron before she calmly exited the chamber.
She should have said, sorry about the mess.
Yeah.
She was going to eat me? Crichton yelped. Now safely back on Moya, the details of the Zukai's feeding patterns were being fully relayed to him. Why didn't you warn me sooner?
My apologies, Commander. It took some time to access Moya's databanks. As soon as I became aware of the Zukai's means of sustenance, I tried to come, but unfortunately you were unable to respond, said Pilot pointedly.
Crichton looked shamefaced as he remembered the closeness of his encounter with the flesh-eating female.
You didn't really look like you would have cared if she did rip your head off, Aaron coolly stated.
I would have cared. Trust me, Aaron, I would have cared. Maybe not while it was happening, but I damn well would have cared later, Crichton responded. So do all Sebastian females have that ability to hypnotize men?
Aaron looked confused. Hypnotize?
Yeah, you know. Hypnotize, bewitch, spellbind, entrance, enchant, ensorcel, he listed. You missed, what else do we have? Mesmerize?
Yes. Bedazzle? Oh, no.
Now mesmerize comes from a person. Does it have mesmer?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the mesmerist.
Aaron looked at him while deciding whether or not to pursue the language lesson any further. The Zukai are not Sebastian, she finally answered.
Well, that's good, said Crichton distractedly.
Why did you ask? Aaron inquired.
Oh, no reason, he responded.
Aaron mused. I was thinking about taking the Prowler for a spin. Do you want to come? She asked as casually as she could.
Crichton felt a quiver pass through his body. You're sure Sebastians have nothing in common with the Zukai?
Aaron gave him a cryptic smile before responding. Nothing whatsoever. Lily Tailor started life as a mathematician, graduating from the University of Sydney with a Bachelor of Science. The next logical step from this illustrious start was to go completely downhill. A career in the film and television industry. Trained as a script editor, she worked on a variety of programs, including the animated Blinky Bill series and the one-hour medical drama GP starring Michael Craig. Okay. Right. As well as producing numerous short films in her spare time. Taylor was involved in all 4 seasons of Farscape, writing 2 episodes, A Clockwork Nabari and Scratch and Sniff, as well as initially being credited as a story editor and finally as the associate producer. Oh. She resides in a terraced house in inner Sydney with her husband and her dog, and is currently writing a feature film.
That's a lovely bio.
Yes.
Clockwork Nabari and Scratch and Sniff, so she likes the weird ones.
Which is Scratch and Sniff again?
That was the one on the Pleasure Planet with the extremely troubling exploitation of young women and the weird editing sort of process.
And the fantastic alien with his and the brilliant scene of Dargo and John waking up in the window.
In tights. It's a good look. I'm just looking at this page. Mm-hmm. Try and find a said. Oh, there's a said. There's one said. The pilot, but then the next is stated, then responded.
Oh, yes.
And then there's listed, answered.
Said.
There's good. A said.
Yeah.
Inquired, responded, mused.
Yeah.
Asked again.
Yes, very much so.
All right, so she's avoiding, like...
I mean, like... Someone or the other said is like almost invisible when you're reading.
Exactly, it's fine.
You can fall back on that any time. People just like gloss over it.
Yeah, it just gets troublesome when there's multiple in one paragraph.
Oh yeah, then you have to like get a little bit more complicated.
I thought that was a great story.
It was very much fun. So yes, thank you for joining us for another Tales of the Tormented Space.
Yes, we'll be back with you next week when we do the season 4 recap. And this is where, do you remember how I told you that there was a blessing and a burden.
Yes.
Well, the blessing is that you get to choose which of the stories we read, which we have now done. And the burden is you've got homework.
Oh?
Yes, I would like for you to... I'd like to offer you the opportunity to read these magazines, what they say about the cancellation, because I haven't done so.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm interested whether there's anything that you learned that maybe we didn't already know.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I still need to finish editing episode 322, but I'm sure I can find the time to do a little bit of light reading in the meantime.
422, because 322 would be a while ago.
422, yes, of course. But yes, I'm sure we can get on with that. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and we shall see you again next week.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.